What's up, guys? Ronin here. Just a quick video. I want to go back. There's a lot of comments interesting on the PJ Washington video I made quite a long time ago. And I tried to make that video from the perspective of a high value guy. But it seems like the comments are still coming. So I think the perspective of a high value guy is difficult to understand for regular people. And so what I did was I didn't explain it. I just said, here's probably what he's thinking, right? So let me try to break it down a little bit. Okay, so let me read the comments here. Okay, this is from Kiki, who comments on a lot of things, a lot of videos. Let's see here. Something's not right about this one. This is not the same Ronin man as we know. Maybe it's your paternal instinct trying to let PJ off the hook, or you just feel sorry for PJ. Let's be honest. PJ was an athlete. PJ, who's an athlete, go with someone publicly said athletes are unintelligent. Okay. And I just read my comments and kind of our interaction here. Very wealthy, I said very wealthy and high value guys look at it differently simply because they have new chicks in bed every day, groupies, and more money coming in all the time. Okay, so then Kiki said, so money makes guys feel comfortable with being disrespected. Okay, now I did a reply to that. Let me find that reply. Just give me 1 second here. And I'm going to explain it even more in this one. Okay. Okay, here's my reply. They value their women less due to a surplus of women. Same with money. When you make $80,000 a year and you pay child support, it can be burdensome. When you make hundreds of millions, it matters less. These guys also tend to swing more, share their wives. It matters less to them. So I hesitated to, we talk about high value guys a lot, okay? And it's a big topic. A lot of guys, it's a huge topic. There's whole channels like Fresh and Fit where they basically tell you that you want to be a high value guy. Like that's the goal, is to be a high value guy. And they describe high value guy in the way that most MGTOW guys do, which is a big salary, money, power, and things like that. And I haven't really talked about it much, so it is a good question. I appreciate the comment from Kiki because I can tell he's really trying. He comments a lot, so he's really trying to understand what I'm saying. And he's like questioning. I guess from his perspective, it's like a weak answer. But I want to explain why, really, I finally have to explain high value guys, basically. Because you guys are catching on to the fact that I'm answering differently, right? And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that I've never heard this explanation before. Okay, I've never heard what I'm going to talk about here. And it's stuff that I figured out on my own. So, and I'm sure it's true. So basically, this kind of experience comes with a lot of time and this kind of awareness. So now I can finally put it all together from a woman's perspective, from society's perspective, and also from somewhat, I'm just going to call it, forgive me, uneducated or even beta male perspective of what a high value guy is. And so why am I answering differently for guys like PJ Washington, right? The reason why I'm answering differently, because it is different. In a nutshell, right? It's not the same. And so what we have here is a fundamental misunderstanding of what is a high value guy, right? And of course, on top of that, a misunderstanding of how being a high value guy, okay, changes your view of the world. So the way that you look at things actually changes. I think society thinks basically that a high value guy is looked at differently by society. So women lay down easier and all that. And I'm going to say that the high value guy concept that is basically the fresh and fit high value, I think it's not true. I think it's a big, it's basically a beta male error. It comes from the time, and I'm not saying they're beta guys, because I'm just saying the truth here. Okay, I am not putting anybody down, because I think we all start from like the beta male perspective, basically, because we're children, right? We learn from other people, from our parents, but there's something that needs to wake you up at some point and realize that you're still not completely red pilled. Like, you still don't understand yet. And I think that's the good thing about like the ongoing community of the red pill community, is that we're getting a chance. Like, even for me, I had to be pushed to see this, to explain this, basically. I had to think, okay, because basically the reason why I wasn't really explaining it, I felt like most guys wouldn't really understand it. And it didn't matter. Because if you're not a high value guy, like, who cares? Like, really? Like, I feel like, does it really matter if you're not a high value guy, what a high value guy thinks or how he looks at life? And really, truly, which is what is a fucking high value guy? And I think that's kind of the heart of this episode. So let's talk about a few things. So Kiki said, disrespect. So basically, I don't know if he's really asking a question or it's out of frustration. Like, disrespect doesn't matter to a high value guy. And I'm going to tell you the truth right here, and you're going to know it's the truth. Like, everything I'm telling you, once you think about it, you'd be like, fuck, that's true. The more successful you are, the less disrespect bothers you. Okay? And why is that? Okay, think about it in your life. So when you are new at something, so when you're first, learning to skateboard, or you're learning to talk to women, or you're learning to play the guitar, or you're learning, let's say, a new profession, right? You're very sensitive because, you're making a lot of mistakes and you don't know a lot of things, right? So when someone says, like, you suck, basically, like, you fuck this up, or you don't know what you're doing, it affects you a lot, because your self-esteem is not fully, you don't have a strong, basically backbone of, like, trust in yourself, because you know that you don't quite know this thing yet. And it bothers you as a man, right? You're like, fuck, I'm not. And then someone points it out. It's just like, you feel very angry, right? And so if you look at guys who are not successful, okay, people that don't do well in life, okay, what is, like, in prison, the number one thing is respect. That is the number one thing. You got to show your bunkie, the guy in your cell, you got to show all the guys respect. And that is super important. If you don't show respect in prison, you can really have some bad outcomes, like getting shanked. And because the guys are extremely sensitive about, and this is what respect is. Okay, what is respect? Respect is other people's opinion of you. That's respect. What do other people think about you? And the better you do, and this is true, right? the better you do. You don't really care because you know you're good. Okay. Now, you never know you're good about everything. Okay. I'm not saying like you're just good at, playing chess and you're great at math and you're good. You're not good at everything. But the things that you are good at, right? The things that your profession or, whatever it is that you're good at, you feel like very, very confident. So like for me, like if I think of the things that I'm good at, right? Those things that I know I'm good at, that I've proven to myself, I really don't really care that much if somebody thinks I'm good. You know, like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's an annoyance, right? Especially if I'm really good at something. And then, I meet somebody and they don't understand that. And they say, oh, you don't know what you're doing, right? It doesn't really bother me that much. And why is that? Well, it's because I know that area, like you do too. You know certain areas of life. So, you think to yourself, well, this guy obviously does it, right? Because like he's not properly analyzing the situation. So, and if you look at it in the extreme sense, think about this. I remember one time I went to the 7-Eleven, right? Yeah, back home, and I went in there, and there was a guy, there was a guy in front of there, homeless guy, and he started like yelling at me, and he's like, man, you don't know what you're doing, you have no idea. He was just going on and on, and I literally I couldn't help it. I just started cracking up. He was so hilarious to me as a young man because I don't know, it was funny because this guy did not even know me. Like, he just saying stuff that, it just didn't make any sense because, like, the guy had, some things that, like a homeless guy might say a truth, right? He might say, like, something like, you got to look within yourself or, like, it is very possible that a homeless person could have some wisdom, obviously, about something, and that could make you think, right? And because he lives out of the box, he doesn't give a shit about normal things, that a homeless guy could say something that has quite deep meaning. I'm not saying, but in this case, this guy, whatever it was that he said, it was just hilarious because it was totally not true. And it was like, absolutely like I just thought to myself, I thought, man, this guy's like a junkyard dog, just yelling at everybody who walks in 7-Eleven. And it didn't bother me at all. Like I literally laughed about it, and I was like, "That's hilarious!" Like to be in such a state in life that you you act like that, right? It's terrible, right? And why did it not bother me? It didn't bother me. Let's just say in this perspective, is because I'm a high value man on that topic, whatever it was that he said to me. I can't remember the exact words, but it was not true. And it was so obviously not true. So I didn't feel that respect was important to me on that. Does that make sense? Okay, so the more confidence you have about any particular thing, the less you're going to care about disrespect. Well, let's look at somebody else, Tom Brady. So he, he's having dinner or something, and some guy next to him says, you can't do this, and you're not a good. I mean, it's like whatever. It doesn't really. It's not going to really get to him because he knows, like he's got so many rings. He's got so many championships. He's like, it doesn't bother him. But other people could be quite sensitive, right, about different topics. So when you look at someone like PJ Washington, okay, and I know a lot of rich guys and famous guys, okay, just over the years, just by chance, partly because I grew up near LA and just Hollywood was really a bastion for that kind of thing. There were so many wealthy Europeans, Americans, like they would move there. There were some real power guys there, like real high value guys, like all over the place. And so I met him, and also in Orange County there was tons of wealthy guys, tons. a lot of my friends' fathers and stuff, and it's there's even like some very, very wealthy people like in my family. It's not my money, but in my family. So high value guys have been all over the place in my life. And in Japan, I moved there in the bubble, and I immediately made friends with tons of high value Japanese guys. And same thing with China, right? I worked with tons of CCP officials. I worked with tons of landowners, had a real estate company, and I met a lot of people that were owned a lot of assets and were doing stuff, right? So I realized they, and as myself, as I've gone up in value and down in value and up in value, depending on what I'm doing in my life, I realized that I feel differently about different things. Okay, so for you guys that you constantly are thinking from your perspective, one of the things you really need to do is realize that not every man has that perspective, and it's dependent on their social status. Okay, so what you need to do, I'll do that later, but let me think. So what else did I learn? So what are the things that are different? So someone's opinion of you, it doesn't matter as much. The better you do in life, the less you're going to care. And then you might, like, for example, it depends on who the person is saying it to. So if Tom Brady's coach from high school, says, hey, Tom, you never really nailed that one thing that you were weak in, and I told you about it. And, Tom would probably say something like, he would hit him, right? Because he'd be like, I should have listened to you, I should have listened to you, because even though obviously he was great and the best, the greatest ever, basically the GOAT of, still he's like, fuck, I could have been better, right? And that'll affect him. Why would it affect him? And it wouldn't affect him if a homeless guy said it, or if just some random guy that watches football on TV said it. It's because his coach not only knows the game, okay, let's just say, this is all theoretical, but let's say he had a great coach in high school, right, who he really respected. The comment would be coming from somebody with deep, deep knowledge of the game, and somebody that he really respected too. And also, to make it even more pertinent, he knew Tom when he was learning. And so he knew the things that he overcame and didn't overcome. And so he would take that comment very, very seriously. And if the coach, really, this would be a ridiculous thing to say, but let's say the coach said something like, Tom, you never lived up to your what you were really capable of. It's hard for me to respect you because you never, let's just say a theoretical word, he had unlimited, he had tons more that he didn't unlock. That would really hurt because, he would think about his life and be like, fuck, damn it, that fucking guy's right. And it was my own stubbornness, right? Because he could have been, let's just say he could have been greater, right? So the way someone talks to you and how it affects you, it depends on who you are. It depends on who they are. It depends on your journey in life. And it depends on where you're at in life. It depends on the way they say it. So many different things, right? So guys that are high value, they can be affected by other people's opinions of them. So I'm not saying you should not listen to other people, because you should, because a lot of times criticism is accurate. Okay, so we improve by listening and by learning, right? So when I get criticism, and also on the channel, I comment, a lot of times I'll think about it, right? And I'll be like, that's correct, and I didn't realize that, right? So I think that's the thing, is that criticism is not something to overcome or to not let affect you, because, like I said, often criticism can be the thing that unlocks your magic powers, because all of a sudden, you're able to see something you couldn't see before, or you didn't want to see before. But that criticism was the thing that just really made you, realize it. And so criticism, listening to criticism, learning from criticism, being aware of it. But when you realize it's patently not true, then obviously it's based on erroneous information. And so it won't affect you, right? So let's look at, all these things, just keep in mind all this stuff. This is all related. Okay, so let's now go into high value men. And by the way, I was different with Will Smith too. Okay, and it turns out I was actually right. It's coming out now, and I'm going to talk about that too. So both those videos were off as far as because they're not normal guys. Okay, and I know their lifestyle. Okay, it's just endless pussy. Like they get whatever they want. Like it's just like, and so let's talk about high value guys. There's a couple things I want to cover. I don't want to forget anything. The first thing I want to say, or I want to not forget, is that I want to explain the difference between the fresh and fit perspective of high value guy and what I think a high value guy is. And also how those two things can be in one person. I want to not forget to say that. But let's talk about high value guys and women. So high value guys and women, okay, so it's the same thing. It's the same concept, okay, of your self-esteem with football or your self-esteem with mathematics or whatever it is that you're very talented at or not talented at and very sensitive, right? So it goes the other way too. You're either very confident in something and nothing bothers you, or you can be extremely sensitive. And that tells you something about yourself. And again, that's something you can learn. So criticism is very valuable, actually. And that's one thing I hate about the feminists is that they never take criticism. And then so you don't see a lot of growth. And what I see on guys on Ronin Man is a lot of guys who are willing to listen and are willing to take criticism and, like myself, and say, hey, I can learn from this. I can be better. So sometimes someone will criticize you in an effort to destroy you. Okay? But, and it can be very painful because they can be very accurate sometimes. But those are the things that have helped me the most, actually, is like total pricks who basically were totally biased against me and basically hated me or were jealous or envious, right? Like really envious and jealous. We talked about this in the first two Ronin Man videos. It's like male jealousy, right? But those are the guys that teach me the most. Like a lot of times guys that can be very jealous or envious of me or you, they teach you that you're doing better than you thought. Because sometimes you're like, I don't realize what I look like from the outside, right? But when somebody's like insanely jealous of you where they want to like fucking, guys can just be so envious. They want to push you off a fucking cliff, right? They just drives them insane to look at you because it triggers something in themselves and their own insecurity. So it goes back to the guy in prison. Is they're doing it to themselves. They're comparing. Just seeing you makes them feel like you're not respecting them. So as you do better, that's why some guys will think you, quote unquote, changed. Essentially, it's because you just grew in a naturally healthy way. And obviously there are people who can change, and that's another topic. But as you get better at things and you get more confidence and happier, like you just feel fucking great, right? You know what I mean? Like there's nothing bad about it. Like you're perfecting your skills at these things and you're reaching your goals and you feel great about it, right? But somebody else who simply just looks at you and compares themselves to you feels this intense feeling that you're judging them. And it's not that you're not judging them, but they're judging themselves against what you're doing. And often it's a very, unbalanced way to look at life. because they are not looking at the things that they're good at. I had a guy who was literally a billionaire, US dollar billionaire, and he was so insanely jealous of me for having women and being happy and being athletic. Like, it just drove him insane. Like, literally, he finally, like, literally had to cut me out of his life. It just, and being a good friend, like, no matter what I did, things that he was not, it made him more angry. Like, if I was nice to him and tried to help him, that was worse. Because he hated me, wanted to destroy me. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine. I understand. but I'd like to help you get through this. And then that made him more, right? Because he's like, not only is this guy this, but he's nice. And he fucking wants to help me. And I want to fucking destroy people who are better than me. And he just drove him insane. And finally, he just couldn't stand being around me, right? So I'm sure you've had these experiences. And this is all related. Okay, these are the things that you go through as you become more talented, more skilled, more confident, and you become a higher value man. Okay, so this is why I often say, is that one of the most valuable experiences I've ever had in my life. And I really recommend guys cognitively, actively try to do this, which is raise their social status. And also, it's actually really valuable to raise your social status, to do better, and then to go broke again, and to go down the social status, and then to get rich again and go back up, or get successful again and go back up the social status. I think that's been the most valuable experience for me, that whole process, because I realized that I am not either of those things. That's what I learned from that. I learned as I was, thought I was crap and, born in, raised in a trailer park and, like no money. And then like low self-esteem that I can't do anything, my family, this and that. And then as I rose up and I realized, oh my gosh, I need to change, or society basically will not allow me to raise my social status. I cannot stay the same person because I was bitter about things. I was, I didn't like people with money. I was raised a certain way about money, like success meant that you were a thief and stealing people's money. I had these crazy ideas that were implanted from, 100 years ago, Finland, whatever group of people, went to the US and ended up being my relatives, right? So I had a lot of biases and misinformation, and I didn't respect people that were high value because I didn't like them and I thought they were different, and I just had crazy ideas. It's just basically being in a state of jealousy or hating successful people. It's basically an emotional state. So I was in an emotional state when I looked at people that were doing better than me. And so as I started to make more money, have better friends, I saw that I was holding myself back. Now, of course, it came from people, but who cares? The bottom line was I still held on to ideas that made it impossible for me to raise my value. And that's where most guys end. They get money, but they can never raise their value. They never get confident. They never move to the next level. They never move really to better friends and more trust in themselves. And this is the key. That's why I said going up the value chain is so valuable, because you realize it's not about society, it's about you. You are the only one holding yourself back. You are the guy. Literally, you're the only guy who will not let yourself go to higher levels. And it's still true. And I say this to everybody listening. And if anybody sends this to anybody else, I'm saying it to you too, is you are holding yourself back from that next level. There's something in your mind. Society is like, well, this is the highest this guy is going to get, right? And for me, when I went up the chain and up the chain and up the chain, and I went quite high, and I realized that I had held myself back the whole time. both with insecurity, with a lack of self-esteem, with unreasonable anger towards other people that were doing better than me. And as I rose up, I can almost feel like right now I'm standing up and my chest is like getting larger. I remember the feeling of just, it was such a great feeling because not only did I rise up financially, but I also rose up because I was able to change. And I no longer looked at the world the same. And I realized that my perspective was absolutely stupid and not true. And when I realized that, I started to look at other people and learn from them. I no longer hated them and thought they were bad. I thought, I need to learn how they let go of their old self so that they could rise up. Okay, does that make sense? So as I went up, then I thought, okay, I did it. I changed. Now I see the world differently. I want friends that are doing well. I want to be with people that are doing better than me because I know that I'm capable of moving more. So I want these people. And as I went up and up again, I reached a plateau and I realized that I was, again, holding myself back. And so gosh, I can't believe I'm doing it again. So it's not a permanent thing. As you go up, further up, social status, higher value guy, okay? And again, I am not talking about only money here. Okay, I'm going to go on this later because this is what all guys miss. Like, there's two parts, right? High value. So anyway, so then I realized I had it again. Then I went up and up. And then something terrible happened. And basically a bunch of things happened in my life, which I've talked about before. And I kind of like financially, a lot of it was my decisions. I decided to invest tons of money in a manufacturing company making toys. And I was, my company, I presented my idea to a company called Tomy, a toy company in Japan. And Tomy stole my idea and they made my product and they had much more money and power and they had connections obviously in Japan. They're a huge conglomerate. And as they copied me, it erased my product, right? They basically stole and crushed my idea. And I had taken all the money from my successful businesses and put it into this one. You know, I put all time and energy. I'd taken so much time. I didn't put all my money into it. I still had money, but I lost $250,000 in that business. And then my partner came in and he lost $250,000. So we lost together probably $700,000 in this business, right? And I was in my 20s, right? Or 30s. I was in my 30s. And it was very painful situation. And what happened was, because I closed my other company, which was my own stupid mistake, but this is usually how life is. It's not usually like you're a victim. It's like you make bad decisions it's not bad decisions. My idea was great. It was actually, here's the funny thing, it was actually my mom's idea. And my mom told me, and I said, that is a fucking great idea. I want to do that. And she's like, sure, you should. And so I had worked on this great idea for a new toy. And it was a combination toy and pet idea. And it was a great idea. And Tomy kicked ass with it. But I found myself, because I had closed my other company that was making all the money to invest. And so all of a sudden, now for 2 years, I wasn't working on it. So I didn't have income from that company. And I lost money and 2 years of time in this other business. That just wipes you out, right? Because the money was coming in, at least $30,000 to $100,000 a month. I cut that off for 2 years, right? The next thing I know, here I am, I fucking 2 years of focus and, just endless work, and then lost everything, all that money and that time and that lack of making income in my other business. And I still had money, so I moved to China and studied Chinese and started a successful company there. But man, it was a big drop. Okay, it was a big drop. And so what happened? Well, what happens when you are very successful financially, and then you're suddenly going down? It's not attractive, right? So being a high value guy, there is a connection to money. So I will give that to the I'm going to call it the fresh and fit model. Okay. The fresh and fit model, yeah. When I went down, I didn't, I wasn't eating the fancy dinners if I wanted to. I had to get rid of the summer house. I can't remember I think I got rid of the BMW at some point because my parking space was like $500 a month just for my rent was expensive because I had to have in Japan, if you're a president of a company, you don't have a nice place, no one trusts you. So I found out that it was, in order to move up the social status, again, had to let go of old ideas. One of my old ideas was live in a hovel, save tons of money, and it worked for me my whole life. But when I got to near the higher levels, it didn't work because guys at higher levels, when you want to do bigger and bigger things, you got to play by some rules of society. And one of them in Japan was that I had to have a nice place. The president had to have, if the president wasn't from, good place, good neighborhood, people would quickly find out. And then they're like, this guy, it just didn't work with Japanese business. So I gave in, got a nice place, but that was a lot of money, right? Like I said, even my parking space was $500 a month, right? Plus we had a summer house, like where I go every weekend and surf in Shimoda, and 2 motorcycles. And I had 2 guys I was paying a salary, both of them 250,000 yen a month. So that's 500,000 yen. At the time, it was about $5,000. Cars, the extra house, the dinners, the rent, the car park rent. It was just, endless things, right? Insurance. And so finally, when I started to cancel those things, it was subtle, but society saw me as going down. Okay. Now, it didn't bother me too much, to be honest, emotionally. I knew what I was doing. Because here's my mindset of myself, is that, I came from the bottom. You know what I mean? It's like that song, Drake. I started from the bottom. I fucking love that song. I love that song. I fucking just love that song. It's just like we started from the bottom, now we're here. That is really how I feel about myself. I was never raised to be even where I am today. No fucking way. It was the nail that stands up, gets knocked down. And it's like that song is like, we started from the bottom, now we're here, And then that video, they have the guys working at Target or whatever, at the burger places, right? It's fucking, started from the bottom, now we're here. There is fucking something to that, man. You want to go to fucking, we're here, right? So anyway, when I went down, it was temporary in my mind. It didn't bother me because I'm like, look, I'm focused on a new business. I got ripped off. I made a mistake. Obviously, I don't know how I could have. Honestly, I needed a partner and I needed a distributor, right? So I had to present it to somebody. So some things in business, you can blame yourself and other people can blame you, but you can't even think, even afterwards, of what you could have done better because it's kind of a bind, right? You can't grow the business if you don't tell people. You can't find partners if you don't explain what you have. And then if you explain what you have, it is possible someone can fuck you over, right? So, right, like if you travel, you might get food poisoning, right? It's just kind of inevitable, right? And you just hope that these things don't take you out permanently, right? And this one didn't take me out. It just took me out of that one business. But my self-esteem now was, I started from the bottom, now I'm here. And I did feel that way about myself, both when it comes to women, it comes to money, when it comes to languages, when it comes to friends, when it comes to my ability to change. I was like, now I'm here, baby. I'm here. And when I went to China, I had total confidence in myself. Why? It was based on everything I've talked about, that ability to change. And I realized how fucking difficult it is to change. And I'm talking to everybody here. Okay? Including Kiki, right? Commenting, right? So we change. We have to change if we want to move up. It's not from money. Money doesn't make you change. You can be the exact same person. You can be a lonely, miserable, rich guy, right? Who never grew to his full potential as a man. Or you can be a man who realizes that he's holding himself back. And that if he looks to other people to learn more and admit he's wrong once again, that's always what I go back to. If you're never wrong, you're never going to be right. You know what I mean? You got to be wrong sometimes. You got to see yourself. You got to accept things about yourself. And you will continually need to do that. The good news is it gets easier. As you get more confident in yourself, criticism won't bother you, which leads me to PJ Washington. Okay, so let's talk about guys like PJ. PJ's a young guy in his 20s. He's extremely talented. I haven't watched his career recently, but the guy's like super talented, right? One of these guys that kind of can do, he doesn't have much of a ceiling as far as when I used to watch his career more. He's just got, he's got, if he gets the right coach and the right situation, the right partner, he could fit in on any team, and they could get tons of championships, right? And he could also do a lot of other things, right? Because a good-looking guy, young, talented, confident, like unlimited. Sports. What is it called? Sponsorships, right? They're just crazy, and opportunities in politics, and opportunities in, and you need to change. So, for example, I don't know if you guys ever saw the movie Straight Outta Compton, but that movie can teach you so much. One, it's kind of my era. It's my era, right? The original Straight Outta Compton, NWA, that was my era, big time. I still love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies, and because of the story, right? So what was the story of Straight Outta Compton? Nobody has this take, but my take is this. It's exactly what I'm talking about, PJ Washington. So you had a bunch of guys who started from the bottom, right? And now they're here. And which guys could keep changing and which guys could not? Which guys held themselves back, right? And if you look at each character in that movie, they all are different. Because no one's perfect, right? Nobody is like, it's not black or white that you're able to change or not able to change. Everybody can change somewhat, right? But the big things is when you have a very, very solidified view of yourself. You know what I mean? Where you feel like, this is fucking me. I am this. My family is this. My skin color means this. My country of origin means this. And I can't change this. It's like, yes, you can. So let's look at Straight Outta Compton, right? Guys like Eazy-E, he did not want to sing. He was the money man. He was the drug dealer who brought the money to the guys. And then all of a sudden they don't have a singer. And the scene where he steps up and gets, like the one with Dr. Dre is running the mixer, and he's like trying to get him to go. He's trying to get him, and he's making fun of him, and like Easy's like, and again, this is like what I'm talking about. He's very sensitive, right? He's very fucking sensitive. Like he almost, could come out and shoot the guy. He's so pissed, right? And Dre's like making fun of him, right? And in a good way, right? He's bringing it back. He knows who he's dealing with. Easy, that motherfucker. He would not want to be on his bad side. That's for sure. He had some rough edges, and he's like he did it just right, because he disrespected him for what in that scene. You guys watch that movie? You got to go watch that movie. Straight Outta Compton, fucking that great movie. And the scene I'm talking about is when Eazy's in the recording room, the soundproof room with the mic, and Dre's outside, and they just had this big, tussle with this other group from New York, who didn't respect West Coast guys, right? West Coast rap, and so they kicked them out. Big scene, a lot of hubaloo, going on there. Almost shit goes down. It's pretty funny scene actually, great scene. The whole movie's fucking great, okay? That movie's fucking epic. But so Eazy's in there, and he's trying to sing, or he's trying to rap, and he's like, man, each time he kind of hits him, he's like, it's good, He goes, but next time on beat. Which is a total diss, right? But he's like, Easy didn't even realize he was off beat, right? And, and then he's giving him shit, but he also goes, I think you can hit that shit. And that was a huge compliment. I think that's the only reason why Easy didn't leave. He's like, I think, you know what I mean? I think you can hit that shit. He's like, he basically said, you're the guy who has a 6'4". You have a 6'4". This song's about you, Easy. This song was written for Easy, basically. It was written about Easy because, I didn't talk to the guys, obviously, but they probably looked up to him, He was the ultimate fucking king of the hood, And he was a fucking solid dude back then in that 80s fucking scene, right? In Compton. And they wrote this song kind of out of homage to him. And he didn't realize it. He didn't see himself that way. And then then Dre's like, hey, this song's about you, man. And he's like, what? He's like, you can hit that shit. It's so good. It's good seeing a guy get challenged too, because you realize how you're like that, right? All guys are like that. It's fucking difficult to change, man. It's difficult to change. When you change, you're going to see how difficult it is. And you'll see why other guys can't do it. And you'll also have so much more confidence. Because no matter what you have in the end, you're going to be really confident. And it's not fake. It's not from fucking looking in the mirror and saying good things about yourself. It's from what you're doing right fucking now. Analyzing yourself. Where am I holding myself back? Not able. Like if you're disrespecting guys above you, that's when you're doing it. Because you can't, you know what I mean? When you hate guys above. And I think this is why a lot of people hate groups that succeed. Like if you look at successful groups, right? Like if you look at the Jews, right? They're a successful group. A lot of doctors, a lot of money, a lot of hate, right? You're always going to see that. You look at Eastern, or look at European guys, a lot of success. You're going to see a lot of hatred. Okay? And then whenever you succeed, there's going to be a lot of hatred. I'm sure there's a lot of hatred in Africa for Nigerians, Kenyans, because they're kicking ass. Their countries are doing better, right? Whenever you stick up, the fucking nail gets hammered, right? And it's always called something else. There's huge convoluted things we do, belief systems we create, just so we can cover up our own envy and our own 3-inchness, Being a 3-incher. Don't be a fucking 3-incher, man. Don't be a fucking 3-incher. Let yourself rise, man. Let your friends rise. Rise up, baby. Watch Black Flag. Rise Above. That fucking great song. There's a live version. I think it's at the Cuckoo's Nest. Live version. The Cuckoo's Nest was near my house. Fucking great venue. Right? Rise above. We gotta rise above. That's right. Rise above, baby. Watch that video. Watch that song. I'll put it below. So Straight Outta Compton, Rise Above. Right? Rise above, man. Put that song on and start fucking slam dancing in your room, You gotta rise above. You gotta rise above. And that's what it is. It's constantly rise above, baby. You're constantly rising above things. For me, one of my big things rising above is rising above any feelings I had towards my, people that raised me and things. I feel now great love and affection, for my dad. And I've talked about him before. It was very difficult to deal with him when I was young. And even, middle age. He is not an easy person to deal with. That guy is not, he is no, that guy's nowhere close to perfect. But you know what? At the end of the day, and this is not bullshit, you guys. This is not some fucking story. Everything people did that was difficult for me to deal with, or even malicious, rise above. I rose above everything. It's like the harder someone tries to hit you when you're boxing, the better your defense gets. Because you know that one fucking shot in the jaw, everyone's got a glass jaw. And it's like you do not want to get that shot on the jaw, right? Use your shoulder, using your arms, you're ducking and weaving, anything not for that shot to land. Now, if the guy doesn't have a strong punch, then you don't do it. Your defense doesn't get any better because you're not afraid. But when someone really tries to take you out, when life really tries to take you out, when a difficult thing ruins, you lose all your friends, like after a divorce, something like Stingray went through. Stingray, his friends all turned on him. Everybody turned on him. The judge ordered him to pay more than he could afford to pay. He ended up having to pretend like he was insane, go into the insane asylum as a veteran in order to avoid the judge ordering him to pay more than he could pay. He was living in his parents' basement in order to pay all his salary to his ex, and the judge said it's not enough, and he didn't have any more. There was nothing else he could do. So he knew that he was at his breaking point, and he figured out a solution. The only solution he could have. Luckily, he was a veteran. He was able to do that. And then now, years ago, the guy's overcome so much. So when you encounter very, very big things and you overcome them, your value as a man rises even more. So I want to end on the difference between, I'm going to call it the Fresh and Fit or the MTV or the Hollywood version of a high value man, and what a high value man really is. So what is a high value man in popular yore? And what is it? It's a guy with money. So you got to make money, okay? You got to be famous. What else? What's a high value guy? Tall. You got to be tall. High value. What is it? 6 foot. All these things, right? And you got to make money. You got to have a nice car. You got to have a house. What else is high value guy from this model, Fresh and Fit model? Go ahead and put comments below because this discussion is going to go on. This is one of the best fucking videos right here. This video can change your life. Put a quick shout out to guys coming to the Pattaya Mini Summit because this is the kind of shit we're going to get into. It's going to be great. And also the Austin Summit coming up. Pattaya Mini Summit's coming up in when is it? It's 3rd, 4th, 5th. Is that right? No. 15, 16, 17 of this month. So it's coming up. No, next month. February? Yeah, February. Sorry. Yeah, 15, 16, 17 of February. Pattaya Mini Summit, which is basically Bangkok. So if you're coming, just buy a flight to Bangkok. We'll figure the rest out. The bus is $4 to get there, so don't worry. And the train is $1.25 to get from the airport to downtown. And if it's your first trip overseas and you're coming to your first summit, let me know. Maybe I'll go out to the airport and meet you. Okay, so and then also the Austin Summit is 15, 16, 17, I believe. Double check the dates of 1st, 2nd, 3rd. Sorry, 1st, 2nd, 3rd of April. Austin, Texas. We're going to get there 2 days early. We're going to stay 2 days late. So getting there on the 1st, going to leave on 7th. So we got the house from then to then. So you can come and plan on staying a week if you want, if you got time. If not, 3 days. Take off a Friday. Take off early. As long as you get there before 3, you're going to get the summit, right? We have our first meeting usually about 4 o'clock, generally. We'll wait for the right guys. You just let me know. We'll do our best to make sure everybody gets part of it. Because the meeting can go on late into the night. It's fine. Okay, so what is society's like? I'm sure you guys are thinking of things right now. Like what is society? Good fashion, good shape, muscles, being tall, having money, being famous, having a nice car, having a nice house, having having a bunch of crypto. The old days having a lot of assets, because there's different high value for different groups, right? So it depends on where you are. If you're in Thailand, a lot of it is there's certain industries your family can be in that make you what's called a high society. In Japan, you have certain traditional businesses and business groups like the keiretsu, the zaibatsu, all these old large companies that give you respect, and like companies that are old and new in Japan. So if you are the president of like one of the like Mitsubishi, okay, that's like right up there, like the highest, like the oldest, the strongest. If you look at the Imperial Palace, who built all the buildings near Tokyo Station? Mitsubishi, right? They are right now the top conglomerate in Japan. And then you have the lower ones like Shibuya is Odakyu. So now they're very big and they're very powerful. But in the old back office of Japan, imagine an old smoky back office with the guys pulling the levers behind the strings. Fuck a Mitsubishi guy. He's number one in there. Those kind of guys. The guys connected to the emperor. The guys Mitsubishi, Mitsui. There's certain companies that you won't notice if you don't really understand Japan. You'll think it's just money. You'll think it's just status. But actually, there's another level above the fresh and fit model, which is old money. That gets respect at a different level than new money. Even though it's the same amount of money, same haircut, same this, same that. And in fact, old money, and this is perfect example, is so confident that it doesn't need the cars. It doesn't need the money shown. It doesn't need the fashion. Like a top guy who's from an old money family is the most respected in a group of wealthy people because they know he's the top, right? There's always a certain guy. So depending on your level, like if you're in prison right now, or you're homeless, there's a homeless guy listens to you. Your idea of what is a high value guy is going to be one certain way. But as you build yourself up, it gets different and more different. And what you think is high value is only in a lot of guys, it's a middle class view of high value. There's way higher levels that I think it's worth knowing about. I personally am a very curious person. So I want to know what people think and what is life like. Because I have confidence in myself that I can raise to either make friends with or be in the circle of any group I want. So what do I want to experience and what would be the value? So I'm constantly looking like, okay, this old money thing, this is very interesting, right? And there's money and there's political power. So the Kennedys, right? These type of families, right? They have power in ways that other families don't. Now, these things ebb and flow. And the Kennedys are not on top of their game right now. But still, the Kennedy name, I mean, there's no question. That was the only American royalty that ever existed, was the Kennedys. We had royalty. If you look at the 70s, the Kennedy family, the 60s, there's no question about it. We had a what's that called? Not a theocracy, not a, when you have the royal family, I can't believe I can't think of it. Not an oligarchy, I can't think of that. That's funny. But anyway, so how does it come around? Let's get into PJ Washington in specific. Okay, so 4 guys, and again, I'm talking about high value in a certain shade of gray, okay? I'm not talking about the highest value guys now, okay? I'm not talking about the ultra rich and ultra powerful families here, because they're way above. Okay, I'm talking about a microcosm, the middle, I guess you could call this what middle class thinks is cool or the best, basically. PJ Washington's in there, okay? He's famous, he's healthy, he's handsome, he's young, more money coming in all the fucking time. And, I don't know if he came from the bottom. I'm not sure his background. I'm not sure if he, I'm not sure where he actually family came from, but potentially he did. I doubt it. Probably middle class guy, but lower, who knows? But anyway, he's where he is now in a stage where a lot of young guys respect and they want to be like that. They can't imagine being something even greater. That's just, they don't even, that's beyond their fucking, that's like, what? I wouldn't care about that. But guess what? As you go up, you would. Okay. Because it's better. In the game, right? In the game of raising yourself up, there are levels, and you will realize that life is fucking very, very interesting. There's interesting dynamics. Politics is another big one that I'm not talking about. People in politics. When Arnold Schwarzenegger went into California governor, that forever changed him. He's a good guy to study, actually. He comes over as an Austrian with nothing. He ends up being the world champion, quote unquote, for something that didn't even exist before. And the next thing you know, he's in movies. He's in fucking movies. And the next thing you know, he's a fucking movie star, like a full-on kindergarten cop. I mean, he's like a Terminator. I'm like, he's a fucking full-on Hollywood A-lister, right? And then he marries a fucking Kennedy. And then he becomes the governor of California. I mean, whether you like his governance, it's not a thing. It's not even relevant in this discussion. Because in this high-value discussion, when you really want to change yourself, you got to kind of let go of a lot of stuff. Because you'll realize that people are not demons or angels. They're just doing their thing. They got their opinion. But in the bottom line is they might have something to offer you, right? People can help you. And the more biases you have against people, the less you'll be able to go up. That's another one I didn't mention. Is if you hate, let's say you hate half the population because they're not the right political type for you. And then you want to rise up, good luck with that one. Good luck with that one. I'm serious. It's hopeless. You got to let it go, man. You can have your political beliefs, of course. And you can believe that it's important. But if you don't see the value in other people that have other political beliefs, society does not let you rise up easily. They test you. Humans are not stupid. They're like, can this guy hang with this group of people? And they'll test you and they'll figure you out. Whatever weakness you have, or they'll be like, no, they won't, there's no like meeting or anything. There's no Illuminati saying, Ki can rise up in this new group, or Ronin can go to this other group. There's nothing like that, but there is a wisdom these people have. And they accept certain people, and maybe not consciously, but they subconsciously know that somebody who's too extreme and hates a lot of people cannot be accepted because he's just going to create havoc. He doesn't see the world properly. He still has biases that affect the way he treats people. And because of that, you just can't be trusted to be in the group because he's just going to piss everybody off. So it's a group of people, right? So you introduce somebody to somebody else, and then if they become enemies, it affects you, right? I talked about this before, this part. So you want somebody who, you can trust. Not to, maybe he's got his opinion. I'm not saying trust him not to be himself. He is himself. But he also is polished. He knows. Like at some level, what you think about life, like whatever. Like really. Your beliefs are huge. And I'm the type of guy who would die for a cause. And yet I'm still saying this. You need to, and I'm not going to do a whole video on this one. This one is for you to look inside yourself. Where do you find that balance? Where you're a socially acceptable person, and yet you also have very, very strong beliefs. There is a way to balance those two things. Even if you have quite, beliefs on one side or the other, you still can realize that, at some level we all die. Like at some level we're all going to be gone. Like there is some level where we're just barely here on this planet Earth. And the next minute we're not going to be here. And then that's it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of wasted time on a lot of issues. There is. There's a lot of wasted anger and time. Some things you just got to let go of, You just got to say, well, I think that. But at the same time, man, how much fucking time do I have to really, you know what I mean? And how much can I change? How much is it really going to... It's not that you don't believe it. It's just that you realize, if you want to lead a revolution and you're in your 70s, odds are not high, right? If you're 19, maybe you could be that guy who changes the world, that leader, but it's just, there's certain stages in life. And as a man, we are not like you, go girl. We are in the sense that we try shit, we go for it. But we also say, you know what? Some things, whether it's through my own mistake or whatever, I'm just not going to be able to do. And I can accept that. I can accept that some opportunities, some things can never be done by me. And you know what? That's a huge burden off my shoulders. Because there's part of me that always knew that, right? So these are all the things that you let go of as you rise up. And as you go down, I got to talk about PJ. So PJ, right? Okay, so you got to look at the life of PJ. So he plays basketball, right? He goes to different cities. Now, if you ever read or watch the old videos of the 80s, Magic Johnson, there's some stories out there now. And it's very similar to what rock stars had in the 60s. Is just orgies and coke and endless hot girls, endless wives, endless virgins, endless, two girls, endless threesomes, endless fivesomes. I mean, Wilt Chamberlain probably is the most successful guy with women in history. He said he had more than 10,000, and he would have 5 every night in his bed, right? So, Wilt Chamberlain was the ultimate physical specimen, right? Just a freak of nature, that guy. I think he benched, 550 pounds? 550 pounds. He's been 541 or something like that. He's been actually measured at. But he said that he did 560 on his own once. But anyway, it wasn't the people, whoever needs to be there to watch it, weren't there. And he was just incredibly strong. Arnold Schwarzenegger, he would never work out with Wilt after the first time because Wilt was so much stronger than him that it was embarrassing. He didn't want any videos of that, because he was the strong man, right? And Wilt, being a humble guy, he's like, all right, that's cool, Wilt probably wouldn't have wanted somebody to kick his ass in basketball, be a foot higher and more athletic and, half space alien or whatever, there's certain things that it's okay. That's his thing. Let him go. Don't go out ruining people's fucking dreams, right? Wilt's like, Arnold's fucking done a good thing. He's got his niche. I'm not going to fuck with that. Yeah, very smart move. But he was a great volleyball player, incredible volleyball player. The guy was just one of these guys. I mean, I'm sure he'd probably kick my ass in yoga. I mean, he's probably totally flexible. He just the guy. The only reason why he didn't score as many baskets as he could have is because he basically was the number one passer some years. He just basically didn't want to be the guy who just scores everything. He scored 100 in one game. Wilt's always the guy that I think was the greatest. I think Michael Jordan, no, Wilt. Wilt was, if you study Wilt, he was the guy. He was so humble. He was from an era when sports people didn't have much money. They had to take a bus. There was no airplanes. They took buses. He had a lot of guys had to have part-time jobs. The team, the arenas of the 60s and 50s, they're not even as nice as the prisons of today. Serious. And high schools are much nicer now. High schools and prisons have much better. Prisons have really nice basketball courts. But the back then, like the guys, they just didn't get the respect. It was like, you're on the bus with your guys and get in traffic and you show up but the thing is, okay, let's go back to the girls. So nobody can compete with Will. Like, he was a high value guy in a time when girls were angels, and he just rolled to the girls. You got to hand it to him. He was the ultimate pickup guy. Will was so confident, so gifted, so skilled, funny. He could talk. He was athletic. He was a high value guy on TV. He was just the man at the right time too, right? When society was opening up and people were looking at other races, and it was way, way before today. When he was a novelty in a lot of towns, right? And people were interested. Girls love novelty. They love new, right? Once you get too many people around, and there's no novelty, right? When I was in Japan, I was a novelty. The way I looked was a novelty. Much less so today, right? So things change. He was in a certain time. Now, let's look at Will. Okay, so Will's five girls in his bed, minimum every night. Now, could you cuck Wilt? Like, would it be possible to cuck Wilt? So he fucked 10,000 women. The term does not even apply to him. The term cuck is for somebody who is low value, basically. Once you're a high value guy, you have tons of women. The concept of cuck is that your most valuable angel, okay, the one that you put all your marbles in, all the money in the game, all your marbles, you trust. She makes a promise to you, and then she breaks that promise and cheats on you, and you are helpless because there's nothing that a guy can do. Let's say an average low-level guy in response. Even if he gets another girl, it doesn't affect the fact that his angel, his girl, cucked him, right? Essentially, being cucked is kind of a blue pill idea. It's a what do you call it? It's a beta. A beta male can be cucked. The higher you up on the stage, it just ain't true. Because of the way life is. I mean, guys like these, you guys have no idea like how slutty women are. Like, a lot of guys don't really understand the red pill. The women are such sluts and whores. Like, they'll just do everything with anybody. Like, you have no idea. The fact that guys think this way means you don't really understand women's nature. Like, all girls will do a threesome. All girls will cheat on their boyfriend. Like, they are not monogamous. You got to go back and listen to Marriage is Doomed, my first, really powerful video. Like, when you understand that, you'll realize that the reason why, so what is being cucked? Cucked is when you are destroyed and another man is getting your angel, your only for you pussy and mouth. But once you realize girls are not monogamous, you really can't be cucked in the same way because you realize that she's going to cheat on you. Women, they all cheat. Like, what are you talking about? All you guys that think your wives are... It's just because you don't have a camera. You don't have the data, and you don't want to believe it. So you think your angel would never do anything. And so you think that PJ Washington, his girl going and getting the other girl and getting the other guy, and then like, or Will Smith, and Now, Will Smith is a very interesting one. I will talk about him for a second. But so, why did my mentor, Don, in the early 90s, tell me, like, one of the things he made us do is whenever we got too close to a girl, right? And nobody understood this. The guys thought this was gay. This is not gay at all. Whenever we got too stuck on a girl, and he called it sappy, we got too sappy with a girl, he'd say, you got to let, Steve fuck her. And then the guy would be like, what? What? And he's like, you're getting emotional about women. You can't be emotional about women or money. That's what he used to say. Don't get emotional about women or money. Don't be emotional. You guys that are talking about you're emotional about women. You are still low value, emotional. You still believe women are perfect. You still think they've been faithful to you. You still think your high school girlfriend. You still don't understand life yet. You understand some of life, but not. You still resist the truth. And because of that, you've invented this concept of cuck. So the concept is, basically, is that everybody out there has a wife who's faithful. Okay? They're all faithful. But not you, because some other man put his penis in her mouth, right? And her vagina. So you are ashamed, you are worthless, you are to be kicked around, and blah, 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 blah. Whereas, meanwhile, all the guys that are laughing at you, okay, all the guys that are calling you a cuck, someone is cucking them. The reason why they can cuck them is because they still have that mindset. Once you realize women's nature, you cannot be cucked. You can't. Because you realize that they're never going to be faithful. They're not angels. They are fucking whores. You never had anything. That doesn't mean they can't be great. You can't enjoy them. That doesn't mean they can't be very cool to be with. That doesn't mean that you can love them, right? You can love your friends. You can love the beach. You can love your car. You can love a girl. You can have feelings. But at the same time, they're not monogamous. They're not honest. They're not faithful. Okay? So when you get red-pilled, you'll realize that the whole idea of cucking is just bullshit. You'll immediately, when you start hearing someone talking about cucking, you know the guy who's saying it is not red-pilled because he doesn't understand. The only time that he could understand, okay, is if he's a high-value guy, tons of women, he knows women, he understands women, so he himself is free and lives in the truth, right? But his friend does not. So he could call the guy cuck because it would be true in that case. Because that guy is still stuck in the mindset that his woman is actually telling him the truth. No woman has ever told you the truth, guys. You need to understand this. No woman has ever told you the truth. No woman has ever told you the truth about her background, who she fucked, who she's fucking. The women are not faithful, okay? They're not monogamous. They never will be. You've lived in a lie. Even in the red pill sphere, you still resist this. You want to deify women. That's why you still believe this. Is guys cheat, right? But you somehow, inside your mind, just the concept of cuck is you still believe it. Like, no. Once you've broken out, and for me it was when I just had endless women coming into my bed. And just endless. I mean, over 400 in 1 year. And that year, 1991, taught me so much. And guys will say, oh, you shouldn't. You're a bad guy. You fucked someone else's wife. You think they told me? I didn't. Honestly, 99% of the time, I never even knew. I still don't know. Like, women, they tell you stuff and they still didn't tell you something else. Like, I know women don't tell the truth. How else would you know their background unless they told you? If you believe what women say, you're still out to fucking lunch. You're totally insane. Like, you cannot believe what they say. Do you get me? Do you understand me? Okay? They are never going to tell you the truth. And they still can be awesome. Okay? They can still be enjoyable to be with. And you can still love them. But you need to know the truth. If you die in your room, your dog will get hungry and eventually start eating you. Your dog, your cat. No matter how much he loved you, when you die in your room, if nobody comes, he will get hungry and eat you. Starting from the eyeballs. Okay? Now, I love dogs and cats. Right now, we're helping dogs and cats, and we're ready for guys who want to donate. We did the work, by the way, with the cats, and it was a huge success. Had them spayed, neutered. They're all back. They got dewormed, defleed. The fleas are back, but everything else is good. They're neutered. They're wormed. They're vaccinated. They're fucking. The cats are ready to be. They're ready to be adopted. So now the next stage is we got to find people to adopt them, and that's going to take some time, and it will take some money. So for guys who want to donate, you can either send it to me or James. And if you want to donate, just send me an email at roninmigtow@gmail.com, and I'll give you the address to send it to. But I would appreciate that very much because I love these cats, and I've made a decision to help these cats. So I was out there last night feeding them, fucking fleas, fucking just eating my legs because they're in this closet just full of fleas. I've never had this before. They're just jumping all over my legs. They're just biting my legs, like tons of them. Mosquitoes, and it's hard to feed them through the fucking door. If I open the door, they run out. So I'm like the cage, so I'm just fucking just getting bit for like a half an hour in there. It sucks. Fucking sucks. We got to get them out of this cage. Sucks for me, sucks for them. I got it yesterday. I went and bought a new water thing for them. So now they're going to have 2 sources of water in their cage because it's too hot in there, and the water thing they have is kind of broken. So basically, I'm working hard on it. So if you guys want to donate, now's the time. 20, 50, 100, whatever. Whatever it does, we're going to use it, and I'll let you know personally how your money was used as it goes. If we get too much, I'll announce it. But for now, it would be good to have some money. So let's see what I was going to say there. Whew. So we decide what we're going to care about. I decided to care for these cats, and I'm going all the way. Fucking every night, as soon as I leave here, I'm going to fucking feed them. James is coming over. We're going to take care of them. We're going to brainstorm and strategize. Like we're putting like massive time into this. This has like been a job for a month. Every day I'm feeding them at night and morning. I'm buying meat. I'm buying fish. I'm buying like good quality cat food. I'm going to the market. I hate staying up late, but I'm waiting till the market opens. I'm getting chicken skewers. I'm feeding them chicken skewers. And as they drop them, I'm fucking getting underneath the cage of my knees and fucking reaching in this shit to get the fucking meat to put it back through the cage. I mean, oh God. Because I decided to save these cats, right? I can't save the world, but I'm going to save these fucking 6 cats. And that's just the way it is. I like these cats, and if you guys want to help, it'd be great. Yeah, I really appreciate that. And why not care about shit? You can't fix everything in life. You know what I mean? You can't run to Iran and start stopping the government from doing something, but you can help a couple cats. And it feels good. It feels good to help these cats. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah. So let's see what I was going to say. So PJ, every day he gets home, and every day he gets to a new city, he goes to a hotel. When his bus pulls up, there are girls lined up to fuck him. Some of them he knows, some of them are regular, some of them are new. The girls are like a mafia. They share his room number. They find out his room number. They bribe people at the hotel to get his real name. And these girls are relentless. Groupies are serious. I want to do a whole episode on groupies because I think that's a great topic. And it's something I know about. So groupies, they're fucking interesting. They are relentless. Groupies are fucking relentless. They're the very interesting category of women. So everywhere PJ Washington goes, sweet, beautiful women are laying down for him. Okay, every night, every day, every night. He never needs to get married. He never needs to have kids. He just has endless pussy coming in day and night. He doesn't have to get married. He can have kids. He can have kids surrogate. He has so many options because he's making hundreds of millions of dollars and his contracts are getting better, right? So if I sent 10 girls, voracious, sexy, just your type, because these groupies, they know who likes what. He likes tall, he likes short, he likes big boobs, he likes girls that do this. They know, like they have like a database of knowledge on these high value guys. And then so the girls self-select. They're like, okay, I'm like that. I'm gonna go to that guy. He likes him young, I'm young. They absolutely know, and they give the guys what they want. So if I could read your mind and I could somehow organize for 10 girls to come every night to wherever you went. You go to the bar, you go to the fucking convenience store, your house, work, and there's like 10 girls who just want to just drill you in exactly the way you want to drill. They know what you like. They are what you like. They are your type. And if you want to be alone with them, they're going to be alone. If you want a group, they're going to be grouped. If you want bondage, they're going to bondage. If you want sweet, they're going to sweet. If you want anime, they're going to wear anime. If you want girls that don't talk, they're not going to talk. If you want girls that are going to turn around and not look at you, they're going to turn around. If you want girls that are going to wear handcuffs, if you want girls that are shaved, they're going to shave. I mean, literally, they are going to cater to your fantasies because they want to be the one, okay? And they're never going to need to be taken on dates. They're going to milk you. Your sack is going to be empty every fucking night. That's the reality for guys like Will Smith. Guys like, everybody, like all the famous guys. You could just name, I'm just talking about PJ Washington, Will Smith here, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Just endless. Endless. Now, Schwarzenegger got his maid pregnant. You know, it's funny about that because I fucked my maid. I fucked 2 maids. Even though I had tons of other girls. I guess I was bored. But anyway, I can see why Arnold did it. I can't see why he jizzed in her, but, that was, she must have grabbed his ass or something, or somehow been on top and then tricked him, or he's drunk, or who knows. Somehow she got him to jizz in there. So anyway, if you had that, would you, and you saw what whores they all are, and you saw, like they tell you they're married, they have a boyfriend, they're getting married, they have a fiance, they show you pictures, you will suddenly realize what I'm telling you is that women are not monogamous and they're not honest. They're only honest with the guys they want to be for a reason. So whatever you think you know about your wife, you don't know. Some other guy could find out. Okay? So, once now you have heard the truth about women. So, do you own them? No. Is she yours? No. Is that pussy yours? No. Is that mouth yours? No. Are you the only one? No. Is she telling you the truth? No. So, are you being cucked? Now that you know the truth. Okay? Now you have a choice. Your girl's cheating on you. Your wife's cheating on you. What are you going to do? You can go crazy, right? Or you can become red-pilled and realize that it has nothing to do with you. Nothing to do with you. It's women, guys. That's the way they are. Now, dogs scratch their balls. Dogs bark. Do you get angry at dogs for barking? Do you? No. Do you get angry at cats for meowing? Do you get angry at dogs for having fur? Do you get angry at, cats for having whiskers? No, you probably don't, because you realize cats have whiskers. Do you get angry at a dog for having a tail? No, you do not, because you know that dogs have tails, right? So, now that you know that dogs have tails and women are not monogamous, you'll realize that you've been cucked your whole life, quote unquote. And why were you cucked? You were cucked because you still believed she was your angel. Once you know she's not, you won't care. Because, why won't you care? Because you're angry and red pill, red. No, not at all. You'll realize cats have whiskers. They have fucking whiskers. Now, whether people find out they have whiskers or not, okay, that the girl cheated on you, that's the only thing you have to deal with, is the social stigma. Because most guys are not red-pilled. They haven't listened to this episode. And they're going to say, oh, you're such a cuck, But guess what? As you become red-pilled, which I'm saying most guys on this channel are not red-pilled yet, they cannot accept what I'm saying. It is very difficult, I understand. But once you understand women, you'll realize they're not faithful, right? So there's no such thing as cucking. Because they're just going to do it. They've already done it. And the only thing you have is this stupid idea in your mind that they were faithful to you. You believe in, flying unicorns and fantasies. And so in your fantasy mind, your girls never cheated and girls are faithful, and that guys that their women are not faithful, that are not faithful, they are cucks. But it's just your lack of knowledge. It's your lack of knowledge of knowing what they did, the girls, your girls, his girls. And it's also your lack of knowledge, your lack of believing what you see in front of you. I mean, if you can get through this episode and still think guys can be cucks, you're out of your fucking mind. Okay? All these girls, they're all fucking around. Okay? Now that's fine. But what are you going to do? When are you going to accept the truth? When are you going to get red-pilled? And red-pilled is not angry. That's what I'm saying. I'm not angry at cats for having tails. I'm not angry at trees for having leaves. I'm not angry for the sun for coming up. I'm not angry at concrete for being hard. I'm not angry at water for being wet. I know that water is wet, and so if I have nice clothes on and I'm going out, I don't want water on me. I don't hate water, but I don't want it on me when I'm wearing a suit. See, I differentiate. Water good sometimes, water not good sometimes. Water is good in a cup. I can drink water. I like water. But I don't like it thrown on my suit. I don't like it when I'm sleeping and someone pours a gallon of water on me, right? But I like water. I'm not angry at water. Don't be angry, guys. The anger is what's holding you in this mindset. And then the last thing I'll talk about is the shame. So, once you're red-pilled, once you know the truth, you're kind of like Jesus. So Jesus said, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." And they laughed because they didn't know what they did. He was right, okay? He knew they didn't know what they did. And they laughed at him because they didn't know what they did, okay? So, was he offended by that? No, because he knew they didn't know what they did, okay? It's simple. What he said was true, and he knew it was true. And in the Bible, in that story, he knew what was true. And so, who does he care about a bunch of thieves talking shit? But to another person, and this is the social side of, and this is the part of cheating that does bother guys and can bother you now. So it's okay to have emotions, okay? So separate it from the fact that she's cheating, that's already happening, and the fact of being a cuck, that isn't happening. But what is happening that could bother you? And this is important because you will feel anger sometimes. And why is that? It's because of something totally different. So I'm going to break down what it really means. So for a guy, as fast as I can. So just like Jesus said, "Do not forgive them, Father, for they know what they do." And the guys laughed at him. Now Jesus goes on in his life. Let's just say, for example, his story obviously wasn't the case, but he goes on, and then everybody says, oh, I heard about you. Oh, the guys, you just say rubbish, you know. You say they know what they do. Meanwhile, they're screwing you over and you're so stupid you don't realize it. At some point, Jesus come home and say, fuck, pissed off, because it's not that they were right. It's that everybody believes they're right, right? And so they look down on him. So they stop listening to him. That can happen. So even though you know the truth, society doesn't. Because society doesn't, other guys, like stupid guys whose wives are cheating on them, will think you're a cuck because everybody knows your wife slept with somebody else because you're famous. Okay? So a guy like PJ, a guy like Schwarzenegger, a guy like, what was the other guy I was talking about? Will Smith. He might, and I believe this is the case for him. He was very bothered. He's very insecure. And so what other people thought about him bothered him. He's a high value guy. Even today, Will Smith can fuck endless women. Okay, trust me, endless women. Endless women around the world, including Japan and Taiwan, and they don't know anything about his new stuff. They just think he's the greatest from some movie. If he just cruises around, if Will Smith comes to a summit, trust me, there's going to be girls like, Will Smith, and they're just going to want to fuck him, okay? So, just because you know all this stuff, not everybody does. And girls, they think differently, okay? You're not a girl, they think differently. They're like, this guy's famous and rich, and yeah, whatever happened, but whatever, I can get a lot from this guy. He's a high value guy, right? So, Will Smith has endless choices, and his wife was fucking this other guy, a couple of rappers, Tupac and the other guy. Okay, but he couldn't handle society thinking that about him. Even though he knew the way women are. Every night, married women come to his house. He has fucked so many married women in his life. In the past. Okay, but so he knows they're not faithful. He knows. These kind of guys eventually dawns on you. It's not, you're not this big stud. The women are just not faithful. They're just gonna fuck any, you know. So he knows. But he doesn't like the fact that other people still believe he's a weak guy. And that makes him feel insecure. So you get it? So the reality doesn't bother him. But what bothers him is that other people don't know reality. So they look down on him, so they don't want to see him in a movie. So he is affected by other people's belief that he's an idiot, that he's a clown. And because he's affected, he kind of becomes a clown. See? If Will Smith listened to this, he could finally realize the truth, is that he is the man. What these idiots think about him doesn't matter. They're going to continue to think. They might like him, they might hate him, doesn't matter. His family, what anybody thinks about you is not your business. You let it all go. Ultimately shedding. If he does this, he's going to be really the man, because he will have shed the lack of caring what other people think at a level that you could never imagine. Because you don't have people writing stories about you, taking pictures of you, paparazzi. You know, you just don't have that experience. Classmates reading these things and bringing it up at high school reunions, like ex-girlfriend, like his level of not caring or understanding needs to rise up. And when it does, the truth will be there for him. And he'll realize that he's the man. All these idiots, they don't know. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. And that's the final stage. Is that not only do you know it's not true, but you know the other people don't know it's not true. And you just laugh at the whole thing. You laugh at the way they look at you. You laugh at the fact that they believe it and that it's actually true about them. And they think it's about you. And the only reason why it's true about them is because of their own retardedness, right? See? So high value guys. Okay, so let's end on this. What is a high value guy? I said there's two types. One is having money, fame, height, good genes, sense of humor, big smile. What else? Athleticism, intelligence, political power, all that. That's like that's an expanded version of the Fresh and Fit, because I'm adding in a lot of heavy stuff like, old money, political power. These things have never even been considered by the Red Pill community. But these are all part of high value. But what really is it? How do the best women decipher between two men? If it was only about these outside things, then women would have no way to decipher between two guys. But if there's one thing women are good at, it's judging men. This is their number one skill in evolution. And it's the number one thing that makes them successful or a failure. So how do women, I'm going to end on this. Where is the bottom line? Okay, the bottom line is, it's not those other things. Those are there for the high guys. But what is the bottom line? What is the key thing? It's what's inside of you and how that comes out when you react. When they ask you a question. So it's very difficult to explain this one, and I'll try in a later video again. Imagine yourself like being on the Truman Show. You're like a test subject to women. They're watching everything that you do. They have cameras watching you when you don't know. Everybody is analyzing you, watching you, aware of where you are, what you're doing. And every move you make, every way you stand, every way you talk gives away the things I was talking about the internal you. So the internal you is not something. It's a result of experience. Okay? So what would be an example of the internal you that they're looking for clues on the external you to see what the internal you is? What are those things? So for example, as you date, as you fuck many, many women, you will gain understanding of women in a way that you could not gain any other way. There's only one way to gain that understanding, and that is by being with women. So when a woman has an emotional tantrum and you are inexperienced, you are going to respond a certain way. And when you understand women and you're experienced, you will respond a nonchalant, different way. Not because you read a book, not because you watched a movie. It's because you know stuff about women. And that's what women's biological, like survival mechanism is sussing the most subtle things in a guy. Who is this guy? What is he telling the truth? Or is what he says true? Is his knowledge deep? Or is he just talking shit? Because guys talk a lot of shit trying to impress women. But the only way women know, and they're very good at it, is by throwing things at you and seeing how you respond. The way you stand, the way you respond to a text, the way you respond to a thing. There is a wisdom when you've dealt with a lot of crazy women, because all women can be crazy when they're emotional. And eventually you understand how to be, how to move, how to act, how to speak in a way that has no anger, who does not judge them, because you see them. You don't judge a cat for having whiskers. You're not judging them. You're seeing how they respond, and you can see behind it to the reaction they're trying to get. And in a moment, in hundredths of a second, you can respond in a wise way that displays to them that you have total control of yourself and understanding of what they're doing. And yet, and here's the thing, men are loving creatures. Men are wise, loving creatures. And they see that you still are not bothered by them, but you care. So a guy who's a sociopath has a personality disorder. He will see everything, okay, but he will not have any emotion towards them. The real man, the true, what was that word, of a man who's been around the world, has seen everything. Oh, God, there's a word. I love this word. I will think of it and put it below. What is that? God. Oh, it's like a man of abundance. A man. Oh, there's a great word. You guys that have heard me use it before, please put it below. Because this is really a great word. It's really, really ultimate. The way you want to be as a man. This state, there's a word for it. So everything she throws at you, you've seen it, you understand it, and you're not angry because you already understand what she's doing, and you're like, you respond in a loving way, yet you do not allow her to manipulate you. So the reason why you're not angry, guys get angry. Why do guys get angry at women? Because they don't have the skill to handle the women, and they're still scared and angry that the girl could affect them that much. When a man has total understanding and control, the more he is on that scale, he will just understand, okay, it's like a guy, the best way to put it. You ever known anybody who's had like 8 or 9 children? Any parents? The difference between the way they act with their first child and their 9th child is totally different. Because the first time, they have no idea what they're doing. And the second time, they think they know what they're doing, but they still have no idea. The 9th time, they have so much wisdom about being a parent. The kids are throwing tantrums at them. They're not eating this. They're doing this. And the parents know that this is a normal response at this stage of their life. Their brain is developing. It doesn't understand certain things. It understands other things. And that's why the child's doing this. So a younger parent might try to convince the child not to do that. An older parent will have wisdom and realize, actually, the child is doing what they should do right now. Even though, it's not the perfect solution to things, but their stage in life, this is the best thing for them to do. They're trying to do this to get to this other stage, but they don't quite have the skills or understanding yet. So here's what they're doing in the meantime, right? Here is where their brain development, child development, I love child development, it's so interesting. This is where their child development stage is at. This is what they can see, what they can't see. When you're young, a young parent, you think the kid's trying to piss you off. Young parents get angry because they actually think the kids are adults at some level. But the more and more experience you have, you'll know. You won't get angry. You'll be like, okay, this is what's going to happen. This is what the kid's going to do. Things that used to surprise you will not. And then you will have a wisdom. So you will know when you need to act and when you don't. You don't become superhuman. You become experienced and wise. And that's what happens with a guy, with women, is there's a stage. Children know when their parents know what's up, when they got their number, but they still love them. That's the key. If the parent is disciplining the child, but doesn't love the child, the child goes in an actual spiral, and it can actually ruin their lives. It is so important to be loved. So the child needs to know that you love them, despite the fact that you're saying mean words or what they consider to be mean words. You're not letting them do something. You're stopping them, but you love them. See what I mean? Discipline with love. And that's what happens to a guy who understands women. The women can see it because they've been with different guys. And trust me, Most guys are very petty and they're like first-time parents. And the women, they know which one you are. That's why you want to get experienced. And you can get experienced in many ways. I used to say that, because I don't like prostitutes, right? But I will say, if you are with enough prostitutes, like if you live in a country where there's very low priced, high quality, you will learn about women. I've seen this now. It's not my experience, but I've seen it. And I got to say, you can learn about women through that. It's not the way I learned. It may be, I wouldn't say it's the best way, because I think, long story, I think the more you trust your own confidence to go and talk to women, but maybe it's good training wheels, because you will learn a lot about women, and the more you learn, the more wise you will get. And, really true, the more love you will have too. I have a lot of love for women. Why? Because I see what they're trying to do. Like women in general. I'm not talking about Western femme. I'm talking about just human beings, like born on this planet, die on this planet. I see women are born and live with certain needs and wants, desires, limitations, dreams. And I empathize with that. And I understand that. I have those too. And I guess animals at some level also. We all are just living things at the end of the day. And you will become, way after you get red pill, and you get experience, and you accept this, and you accept this about yourself, and you grow up. The word I was looking for is Renaissance man. The Renaissance man. But at some point, if you follow this path, you will become this happy, loving, wise, who cannot easily be emotionally shaken man based on real experience. Not just smiling and leaning back. I mean, you will understand and keep going. Each step helps. And I hope this video has helped. I think I put something special together here. So please share this one. I think, honestly, a man with this video in his briefcase could go a long ways down the road. And I'm going to say last, and I said it before, give back. Give back. Join Unblackmailable. Just give back. Come to a summit. Share honestly. Share your heart out. It's not just about money. It's not. It's about you. I don't want you to send money and then be a prick. I want you to change. I want you to experience these great stages in your life. I want you to rise above. Yeah? And part of that is gratitude, giving back to others. And like in this case, I'm loving cats, and I'm sure you have things you love. So thank you very much for being there, guys, for being part of this journey with me. When I started this channel, I never imagined I would find such a wise group of men. And I know anybody who's still listening is totally understanding what I'm saying. And I appreciate you, because a lot of guys wouldn't listen to the end. So anyway, please like and share, because YouTube, the reason why I don't have a million followers is because of YouTube. They started shadow banning this channel years ago. And go to X, because I've really focused on X now. I worked my ass off for several years. I have Ronin Man. It's no more some other name. It's Ronin Man on X, x.com/Ronin Man. And add me on there. I'm going to start doing spaces and group, basically kind of like lives, but they can be in groups and you can ask questions with your own voice. So we got Premium Plus, thanks to Joel, and we can really max out X. So like and share this on YouTube, leave a comment, go to X, follow me. If you're not on X, sign up, follow the channel. I'm going to have a lot more stuff on there than YouTube, because at the end of the day, guys, I see the future is Elon Musk's X. I think he is the only one who's really trying to do free speech. And I believe in that. And I want to support him. And I want slowly over time, I want more and more stuff to go. Maybe we'll end up with videos on YouTube and other stuff on X. I'm not sure. But anyway, X is a big thing now. So tell your friends to follow Ronin Man on X. Like and share, comment on things, ask me questions. There's a lot more chance on X, there's a lot more chance to see more of my personality. Not just about being a man, but whether it's about geopolitics. A lot of my ideas, they bleed into these other areas. So let's see more of our complete self through X, right? Not just a lecture, but like, things that are coming up all the time. There's a lot of things coming up. So we're going to get active, very, very active on X. I'm fired up. I hope you're fired up. And I hope to see you soon. Come to a summit. If you listen to 10 videos, come to a fucking summit. Come to a summit, meet in person. And you're not going to be disappointed. Because I am what I say. And I want to see, I'm going to be looking for friends. I'm looking for good guys. That's the bottom line, man. If you're a guy who's willing to fucking keep raising up, I want to meet you. Let's see what fucking happens. Who knows? All right, guys. Hope you have a good one. We got in just under 2 hours. I got to eat breakfast. All right, man. I appreciate you guys being there.